Yeah. So what? It's your boy, Bitz and Bobz. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for so much for tuning in. If you haven't, make sure you get over here. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your nan, tell your gran. Bitz and Bobz is on the YouTube channel, yeah? Listen, we got the ops in the building. That's why I'm dressed in all black, okay? I got an ex-rapper, battle rapper in the building. Oi, you lot heard of Bitz and B Rabbit, yeah? That's me, innit? I'm coming. Hey, listen. Well, listen, oi, listen. I got a guy in here tonight, yeah, who actually showed me love before I was even on YouTube. Who I reached out to, and he spoke to me. He's a Liverpool fan. He's an ex-rapper. He's very, very, very seen on the From a Third Eye View podcast every Monday night. He's also on the Football Terrace. He's also, I can actually call him a friend now. Yo, it's Stro. Mr. Stro, how are we doing, brother?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm good, bro. Look, I'm good, man. This is a big thing for me, man. Real talk. I know I was gassing you up, but this is big for me, bro. Like from all the way from No Beef Podcast, to actually being able to talk to you and stuff like that, man. How are you, bro? How's lockdown treating you, man?
I'm good, man. All the better for talking to you, my brother. Like I've been looking forward to this, man. It's been a minute, so yeah. This is long overdue.
It's interesting, bro. It's interesting, but yo, I'm not even gonna waste time, yeah. Not even gonna waste time. Obviously, you're a Liverpool fan, okay? Probably one of the few that I actually like. And what do you think, man? What do you think is going to go down Sunday evening?
I'm a lot more relaxed now that I've seen Matip in training. Okay. Because realistically, did Reece Williams do a good job against Harry Kane? Yes, but Tottenham style away from home is completely different than what Manchester United style would be away from home.
Yeah.
The thought of a Cavani, Martial, Rashford running at a young, inexperienced Reece Williams terrifies me, and it worries most Liverpool fans. So the fact that we see Matip in training is a big deal for us because he's got another couple of training sessions to go. We'll have a few, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, in the evening, etc., etc. So if you get through them, I pray to God that he starts. But the thing is, it's Anfield. If it was at Old Trafford, it's a different conversation because for some reason we can't play at Old Trafford. There's just this, I don't know what it is. There's just this bad energy, this bad history there. But it's Anfield, and it's listen. I'm just disappointed that the fans aren't there because this place would be rocking. And Marcus Rashford would rightfully so get a standing ovation from every single person in Anfield. And I hope that the fans do go ahead with it and give him a banner and put it on the cup because there's no man in England that deserves it more than Marcus Rashford at the minute.
100%. And do you know, two major things you touched there, like obviously with the Matic training and obviously with Marcus Rashford. Do you know what? Like, Matic is probably a boost for you guys, psychology, because you actually have a centre-back now. Do you know what I mean? That's itching to basically play. Man United at home, is that probably the best game? I think you don't have a choice.
There's no choice.
Do you know what I mean? Whatsoever. So we need to move. I actually think we'll beat you 5-1. Wild. And this is not to draw you out, bro. This is not to draw you out. Shout out EGTV, gals, big up.
Oh, wait. Are you up to serious?
No. We're not going to beat you 3-5. I think it's going to be one of those games, yeah? I think it's going to be one of those games where, like, whoever scores first is going to win. But if it keeps both, both teams aren't as clinical as each other, to say, because, like, we need to take a few chances before we score. So I don't know. Obviously, I just hope we beat you. As long as we don't lose, I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
You know what's mad? I think this is the first time in 3-4 years where both sides, if you look at the state of our squad with the injuries and how badly it's been hit, and then you look at you guys because it's coming away to the champions and coming away to Anfield, I think there's a lot of people who won't openly say it, but would turn around and would happily take a draw right now if you offered it him.
Yeah.
And it's not been like that for a while. So that just shows that, one, how United have risen this season and how it's took. I mean, our squad's just depleted. It's a mess in a minute. So, but yeah, it's one. I said this when I was filming the stuff with Terry. This is the game that United fans look for when the fixture list comes out. This is the first
100%,
game that Liverpool fans
100%.
look for. Like,
100%.
Forget Manchester City, forget Everton. Like, this is the biggest game in England. This is the biggest game. Nothing comes close to this. Yes, United had the rivalry with Arsenal. Cool. This is the biggest game in England. Make no mistake about it. So, and it's got that extra taste because this is the first time we're playing you as champions at Anfield.
Yeah, which is quite disgusting, actually.
There's a lot at stake.
I don't really like talking like that. First game time we're playing you guys as league champions. But it is what it is, you know, it is what it is. But listen, enough about football, yeah? Word on the street is that you were involved in a clip that got 1 million views. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. Because apparently, you used to be a rapper.
Battler.
Okay, but still a rapper, bro. You're still doing 16s. You're still rhyming. Talk me through it, bro. Stro the rapper. Oh, was that your name when you were rapping?
So Stro's it was Blood Stro.
Blood Stro. Okay.
Yeah. So when I came over to do the YouTube football thing, I just shortened it to Stro because. So this is the mad thing, yeah. So basically, this is how the whole journey started. So you know what it's like in high school. You know what I mean? You know what it can get like at high school and stuff like that, how people will start lunchtime, break times, they'll just come at you, even in lessons to the point where they'll just gun you down. And it's one of them, you've got to be quick on your feet, otherwise you can become an easy target. So for me, I thrived off that. Like, bring every bit of smoke. I enjoyed every single bit of it. So there was my love for that started then, but then, like, for example, I'd get home from school and I'd put MTV Bass on. Now, obviously, MTV Bass is an old school channel, do you know what I mean? But you'd have like the Freestyle Friday, so you'd have Jin on there, and I can't remember who he was battling, yeah, but obviously Jin was Chinese, for those that don't know. No.
Yeah.
Basically, he came out, he was like, because the guy called him Chinese, he was like, you say I'm Chinese, Sonny, here's a reminder, check your Tims, they probably say made in China. And that stuck out to me for so many years because I was like, this guy is ridiculous. And then one day I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try and find, this is when YouTube first came like onto the scene. This is how long ago this was. I'm talking like 07, 08. And I went to find Jin, found him, and then I stumbled across a rap battle with two Scousers in a field. Watched it, it was hilarious. And then like obviously went on with my life, was still making music at this point. Like, I was making quite big waves in Manchester at this point with regards to the grime scene because I did a lot of grime. This is when I was younger, like just coming out of high school and college. And then one day I just thought, you know what, let me try and find that Scouse freestyle battle because it was hilarious. And then lo and behold, I come across a thing called Don't Flop. And the Scouse battler that I'm talking about, for those that do know me from the battling, is man like O'Shea, the UK battle rap legend. He was my favourite battler, like, and I mean when I say he was hilarious, like it didn't matter what style you had, he would just end you with a stupid line. Like,
okay.
It was just hilarious, and I started going back and watching like all the old Jump Off, and you seen Professor Green, where he battled the guy who was like, oh, why you got me battling the Milky Bar Kid, and just like shut the room down completely because the guy had glasses and he just looked like a dork. And then, so yeah, I started watching a lot of like the old Don't Flops, like the likes of Kruger. Obviously, those who battle rap will know this. Kruger, Sensor, Flex Digits. Obviously, salute to my brothers. And then I was watching O'Shea's battle, and then on the end of O'Shea's battle, it was basically saying he had an event coming up in Manchester. So I was like, I've got to go to that. And I went. So boom, me and my boy went. And my girlfriend at the time rang me just as we got to the venue. And O'Shea's just walked out the door. Now, I'm on the phone to my missus at the time. And my boy basically goes up and says hello to him first, innit? Yo, mate, I was so pissed because I was such a big fan of his. Like, I was like, get off the phone. Like me and him had arguments. It's like, yeah, man, I wasn't happy in it. And then, boom, obviously went and met him. The event was, they did a 2-on-2. And do you remember the In-Betweeners?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the one who Will was obsessed over, the blonde one?
Yeah.
She hosted the battles that day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so now I've got some stories for you. So she was there, met him, and then the main guy was a guy called and then anyway, they were like, "Can you rap?" So then I did a bit of rapping outside, and they were like, "Try out." So boom, put my name forward, got an opponent. Now the opponent was a guy called Lunacy, and I'll come on to that in a second because this is where it gets wild.
Okay.
So I ripped my material. This was, when was it now? This was January time. So I've ripped 3 rounds. But obviously I don't fully understand battle rap at this point because it's completely different than grime. The writing process is completely different. Yep. The cadence, the similes, everything is just completely different.
For those people that are watching battle rap, just give them a definition of battle rap. You're basically trying to make fun of someone, right?
Yeah, so for example, there's different things. So there's freestyles, so obviously you can just come completely off the head, which there's some amazing freestylers. Then there's the way we do it was you get given a certain amount of time to write material. It's usually either 3 60-second rounds, which was quite common at that point. There's 3 90-second rounds. So it's basically you writing, and you find out what you can about your opponent. You can look online, you'll have them on Facebook, you'll look certain things, you can go check the music out, you can use that as material, etc. So me and Luna got confirmed in the January, and then there was a league that started called Lab Battles, which is from my brothers, Shotty Horror, who's, for those that do know, Shotty Horror is he's been on James Arthur's album. He's featured on songs with Deadmau5. Like, really? I'll come on to a story with him in a second. And then obviously my big bro Briggsy. So them two started, and they were like, "Do you want to come and battle over here?" So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, because them two musically in Manchester there was them, and there was Shifty, and then you had Wrigley and like a few other, but they were the top heads. Shotty was that one where it was like, you don't mess with Shotty because he's a different level.
Okay.
So obviously when they offered me that, I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. So what I did stupidly was I used the material I wrote for Luna and took it over to there because it was quite, you could use it anyone, and did that battle. There was a battle that came out a couple of days before where a guy called Disaster, who's like a famous American battler, and one guy said something to him in the crowd, and it throws him off, and he's basically, the guy who flew him out was Poison Pen. So he was like, when the guy says something to him to try and throw him off, he was like, "Did you sponsor the event? Did you fly me out? Did you pay my money? Is your name Poison Pen?" "No, shut the fuck up then." And the whole place went nuts. So when I'm in this room of about 200 people, bear in mind, it's the first time I've ever tried and attempted a battle. I was winning the battle 2-0 comfortably. I didn't realise until the end of my second round, because I did like like Eminem stand, my tears go cold, I'm wondering why. I remixed that. I remixed that completely and just used it against him, just made him look stupid because he tried an Eminem song one time. So I've done that, and I realised his boy is directly behind me, and I can hear him talking. Oh, I just got that Disaster moment in my head. So I've gone, I'm going to say something to this kid. So in the third round, as I turned to say it, in my head I'm like, nah, this isn't going to pop. Like, I don't know what I can say. Turn back round, all my material's gone.
What?
I can't remember anything. So I'm stood there awkwardly. I'm like, can't remember anything. And this was my first ever time. So I was like, this isn't good, So then I had to forfeit that round, but that ultimately cost me the battle. So obviously at this point, I'm annoyed. And I was just like, yeah, battling's not for me, etc. And then a couple of days after that, me and Luna got postponed, which I was quite glad at, because I was just like, because of what happened then, I was so pissed off myself and I was embarrassed, and I was just like. And then this Luna battled outside another Don't Flop event a month after. Now this battle never got released, but he did similar to me. He choked, but it was every round he was stumbling and stuff like that.
Okay.
So then come the April, they said, "Do you want to battle Luna?" Now in my head, I'd seen him stumble all 3 rounds. I'd seen all the other stuff. I'm like, give me this battle. I don't know why I was so confident and why I was so cocky, but I thought, let's do it. So the battle went down in May. And it's firstly the first ever and only UK tryout to ever hit more than 500,000 views. The first ever only UK tryout to ever hit 1 million views. It's the most viewed tryout ever in UK history, and it's me and Luna C. So I know a lot of you know me from that. But yeah, that changed my life. Like,
that's amazing,
not necessarily in a good way. Battle rap was so big at that point. Like, for example, you'd have soap stars coming to battle rap events. So there was a guy, obviously, have you ever watched Coronation Street?
Yeah. I've met Sally, a few of them, quite a lot.
Right, so not Jason Grimshaw. So do you remember the old guy with the glasses who died? I can't remember what he's called, but he's basically his grandson. Something Grimshaw, no, not Grimshaw, but basically his grandson came to one of the events, and I remember taking my girlfriend at the time backstage, and he was there, and obviously she's a massive Corey fan, so she was like going crazy because he was coming up showing love, like, oh, you battle Luna C, got pictures, and he ended up losing his job because he was backstage with us. He had a mask and he was freestyling, and basically I don't know what happened, but he must have gone to like a hotel with a couple of the men, put a mask on, started freestyling. He said something like, oh, I'll rape, and Corey cut him because of this whole thing went viral. I'll send you the link. Yeah, I'll send you the whole thing at some point after this. Like, it was crazy. So we had soap stars there. We were flying Americans over. You had like Getz was at a lot of the events. Like, it was white. Like, at this point it was popping, but when I say it changed my life, because this was when I first experienced how bad YouTube could be. Every comment was Stro shit, and obviously I'd go to the events, and obviously you've seen the clip that's been going around between a lot of the man. It was like I travelled to Brixton by myself. Do you know what I mean? And you've got a man looking at me because like they only knew me from this one battle instead of actually knowing what I was like as a person. So for me, it was an uphill battle to kind of clear my name in a sense. But this is how wild it was. Like, I'd be. Years later, bear in mind this was 2012, I battled Luna C. 2014-ish, I'm at the Trafford Centre, which is a shopping centre in Manchester.
Yeah, I know it well. It's a big stuff.
I'm starting to date a girl. So I take her to the cinema. We're
nice guy.
Chilling. And there's about 6 men in front of us. Anyway, you know, like when you take a picture in a flash.
Yep.
I can see him start to take a picture, but he spins it quick and it lands on me. So obviously, she's looking at me like, what's going on? So obviously, you know me. I've looked forward, like, yo, what's going on? He's like, oh, yo, blush open, don't flop in it. You battle Luna C. It's like, yo, can we get a picture, bro? Like, sorry for the flash in it, but like, I had to prove to my man that it was you in it. So I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, take a picture. So she's ended up taking a picture in the cinema before the film even started. And at this point, my head's not fully on the film. Like, I'm just like, irritated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
just trying to be on a date with a girl, innit?
And then we go shopping, and then one of the toilets upstairs, she needs to go, and I'm stood outside. Boom, another 3 or 4 guys come up to me like, yo, and start quoting Luna C lines to me. So she's come out at this point, and she can just hear this guy quoting stuff to me. Like, one of the things he said was, a lot of people admire Michael Jackson for his passion for dancing. You admire Michael Jackson for his passion of child harassment. And he quoted that to me. So she's only heard the last bit in it. She's looking weird, like, what? And he's like, oh, can we get a picture? So I took another picture. And as soon as that finished, she was like, what's this about? so obviously, I had to show her, like, what battling was at that point. And then it kind of, like, blew her head, because a couple of weeks after that, I had a battle in Glasgow. At the O2 in Glasgow. So
no way.
Yeah. So I battled there, sold that out against the guy. It was a 2-on-2 with a Scottish battler who's arguably one of the top 10 in the world. Like, soul is ridiculously insane. So I travelled up. He lives in Fife. I travelled up to Glasgow. Obviously went to Edinburgh. Went to Fife to stay here so we could write the material. travelled back down to Glasgow, did the battle, and then I travelled back that morning. So a lot of people, you've seen it on the football terrace, like, oh, is that Stro from Don't Flop? Yes, it is. Yeah. I just don't like to acknowledge it, but yeah, so that's how my million viewed battle happened, man.
Bro, do you know what? That's why they say never judge a book by its cover. See, when I spoke to Flawless, and Flawless was like, yeah, that's how I met Stro. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Stro used to bar up. I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? And obviously, also we speak, so I'm just like, wow. And for me, I've just known you as football YouTuber, you know, and you've been on radio. You're a radio presenter. So I don't even know that. So no, that was cool. Mentally, what was that like? Like, literally, like, to be able to, you should have felt harassment. Shout out Sentiment FC. What mentally, like, obviously we're going through lockdown now, but mentally, you're just trying to chill with a girl, innit? You're trying to see you all go on. And then obviously people are coming up to you, quoting lines from rap battles. Mentally, how did you cope with that?
No, so this is the mad thing, yeah. It's like, there'd be tunnels where I'd be going to college or I'd be going to work, and there'd be lines that he'd said on the wall whilst I'm on my way there, and I'd see it all the time. Like, people don't, like, this went viral. Like, you look at how AFC TV is now. Do you know what I mean? Like, AFTV, you look at how viral them clips are. Imagine that, where it's no Twitter at this point. Twitter wasn't really that big. It's just YouTube. It's just Facebook, and the thing's gone viral. So man in college knew me before they knew me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
got you. Yeah.
Do you know how mad it is? Yeah, like, and this is how crazy it was. I didn't realise the pull it had until I started a new job at an insurance company, and there's an insurance company which is respectable, one of the biggest in the UK, and it's my first day. I'm walking down the office, and this girl who I kind of known since I was a kid comes up to me. She's like, did you battle? I was like, first day, 20-30 minutes in. I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, the underwriter from the insurance company recognises you. Used to watch a lot of your battles. And I'm like, I just can't get rid of it anywhere. And for me, because obviously at this point, you don't know how to deal with YouTube. YouTube's still new. Like, you don't know how to deal with the trolls. You don't know how. Like, it was a learning curve for me. It was a learning curve for my family, because obviously, you know what your family's like. Your family's supportive, whatever you do. So when you see that I'm battling, they might not agree with everything that's said in the battle, but then they get going down the rabbit hole that they start looking at the comments and listen, when it's been viewed over 1 million times, there's going to be hundreds of thousands worth of comments there, which realistically, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of love for Luna, and Luna absolutely did amazing and killed it. But the reason why this is such a thing is because of how much of a clash it was stylistically. Like, he was calm, laid back, whereas I was quite aggressive, because that's just how Manchester grind was. It was quite aggressive at that point. And that was a learning curve for me, because the abuse I got was crazy. Messages like, oh, don't ever come to a rap battle again. If you come to Sheffield, So you know what I'm like. Like, because that's how crazy it was, like, and that's how crazy it got. Like, don't come to Leeds. So I made a point of every time it was a Sheffield event and every time it was a Leeds event, I was still front row and centre. Like, I made a point of it, but like, I was still young at the time. Like, I was 17, 18.
Do you think, Stro, that what's the comparison from then till now for trolls? Is there a comparison?
There is, but them times, like, obviously now it's slightly different. Like, you can get your account taken off you. Like, them times there wasn't really anything like that. It was kind of a free reign. You could just say what you want and got away with it, and that was what I found wild. So yeah, like, as much as I love breaking certain records with regards to battling, and there's some amazing UK battlers that are very envious because they've never had a 1 million view battle, and you can see it when, like, they're talking, certain man have got a 1 million view battle. Like, people would love to have a 1 million view battle. Me, on the other hand, I was just like, because of how it went down and the circumstances of it, I was just like, I never really embraced it, and that's why you see like Tox and Floors like constantly at me like, "Yo, bro, you've got a 1,000,000 view battle." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't care because like you don't realize what it did for the past 18 months after it drops and how much that impacted my life." Do you know what I mean? Like people don't see that side of it, but looking back, like I persevered, I kept battling, I got better and better, and yeah, man, it's a time that I would never take back, and it took me to some amazing places across the world, which we're going to touch upon at some point.
Yeah. So, like, okay, because I just want to segue into mental health there. Like, you're white, okay? Mm-hmm. You're a white male, and you're battle rapping. What was that like?
Similar to 8 Mile, crack of this, crack of that.
Not that I'm laughing. Not that I'm laughing at the crack of it. I'm laughing because you said similar to 8 Mile. Like, do you know? Because
the reason why I said similar to 8 Mile, because obviously there's a lot of cracker jokes and there's a lot of white boys and white boy that, and obviously you like, especially when you're in the middle of Brixton, like obviously they'd be looking at me like, "What, you're about to battle?" It's like, they'd even say in it, they're like, "Yo, as if white boy got it." I'd be like, "Yo, well, let me prove it then."
So like. Was it like motivation, or was it like intimidation?
It wasn't at first. It wasn't motivation at first. It was something. So obviously, I know we are going to touch upon it, but I stepped away from battling because obviously my sister passed away, and I was still trying to grasp that. And you seen the back and forth between me and Tox about a certain line that I said. It was because I was terrified that if someone said something about my sister in a battle, I was going to shut the event down. I'm not the toughest. I'm not the strongest. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't proclaim to be a gangster, nothing, but
when it's blood,
certain lines that I would never ever allow anyone to cross in. My fear was because at this point I had a lot of family in the battle industry, in the battle realm. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like a mad, unorganized, like dysfunctional family, and I didn't want to mess up someone's money by me shutting an event down. Do you know what I mean?
Got you.
So I stepped away from it. And lo and behold, it was Tox and Flawless that got me back to battling. They were the ones that taught me to basically, when Tox made his debut, his next battle was at the Ritz in Manchester, which is like a foul to capacity. I know Flawless touched upon it, but what people don't know was Tox was just, because he was new, he wanted to run his rounds by someone. I was bored one night, not doing much, and I seen Tox post it up. And I remember watching his debut, and his debut was retardedly good. Like, I was like, this kid's talented. And he just said, "Can I run my rounds by someone?" So I sent a message him. I was like, "Yo, ring me if you want." And he was like, "Oh, it's Stro." Anyway, he told me his lines. And then after that, me and Tox came cool. And then obviously me and Flows became mad cool. And then he was like, "Yo, why are you not at events anymore?" I was just like, I'm not in love with it anymore like I was. And he was just like, "Get your ass to an event." So I was like, "All right, I'll come." And then I went, I couldn't leave, to the point now I'm still involved in battling. Like, I'm helping run Premier battles, which obviously I know we're going to touch upon. But yeah, so if it wasn't for them two, I wouldn't be in a position that I'm in, and I genuinely mean that in every single aspect.
Well, salute to both of them, man. You know, like, real talk, man. I'm not going to lie, man. They've shown me love, real talk, you know, Flawless especially, even JV. So, you know, shout out to them, man, seriously. Bro, man, I've got to ask, you know, obviously the unfortunate passing of your sister, man. It's deep, bro, because right now it's a sensitive time. People are still losing family members, you know. Unfortunately, one thing guaranteed to us all is death, you know. And I want to say, what happened? What was it like? And how are you coping?
So, first and foremost, only certain people know this story, and this isn't scripted. This is something you expect to see in like a mad film. Like, this is genuinely real life. This is what I went through. So my little sister from a young age was always slightly different. Like, you could just tell she was just she had something different, and she was diagnosed with ADHD from an early age. Now, when I say she's slightly different, I'm talking like I'm in year 1, she's in reception, she's pushing teachers out of the way, come flying down the corridor to come into my room because she wanted to be with me because I was a big brother and I would protect her. Do you know what I mean?
Got you.
She was that, because of her ADHD, there's not many teachers that, because mental health wasn't big at this time, they didn't know what it was. Mental health at this point, mental health at this point was just a case of it's bad parenting. Like that's how what it always came down to with mum and dad, and that was never the case. And we live in obviously Manchester, in Trafford, which is a borough council. No school in Trafford could handle my little sister. No school in Trafford would accept my little sister. She's not even in year 1. So she ended up going to a school in Warrington, Birchwood, which is obviously Liverpool side. So that caused issues in the family itself. Do you know what I mean? Because she felt like I was getting more time on mum and dad, and it caused big strain, and it stayed like that until year 6. And it was only in high school was then she was able to like properly come back to a school. So it was saved like all the travelling back and forth and stuff like that. My dad doing countless amounts of driving. So then, boom, she ended up going to a school called Edgerton, which was for kids with poor behaviour, with mental health. Problem was, she was in there with gang members. Now, my sister was a slick talker. You couldn't say shit to my little sister. Do you know what I mean? The problem was, I'd be walking home from the ends or wherever. You Alicia's brother. And I'd be like, yeah, why? Oh, she said you're going to fight me. And I'd be like, what? yeah, well, me and her got into it. She said you're going to ban me out. So what are you saying? Do you understand how many times I got into them like scenarios because my little sister was a slit talker?
I can imagine, bro. I can imagine.
So like like I said earlier, I wasn't a proper fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that situation would happen. I'd then go home. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, cut, bloodied, bruised. But that, weirdly enough, that grew me and her closer because she knew that I would always ride for her no matter what the circumstances were.
Of course.
Even though she was in the wrong. So she was then, and this is, it's not really a funny story, but it's kind of funny when you look back at it now. I had a French teacher. Now, I didn't realise at the time, but worked at my sister's school. Now, my sister got expelled for throwing a chair at a teacher and some other madness. Anyway, this is year 8's the first time we did French. I'm sat there in the lesson, first day. Obviously, you're still young. You want to make an impression, do you know what I mean? This teacher comes in, cuts on her face, bruised up. I'm like, wow, like this, what's going on here? She's going through the register. Waymond. And I could just see this glare. And the second I seen her looking like that, I went, my sister's done that. And she went, have you got a little sister? I was like, yep. Anyway, turned out it was my sister.
Yep.
So turned out it was my sister. And that teacher was looking for any excuse to kick me out of that classroom instantly. I never went to her class again. She didn't want me anywhere near it because of obviously the circumstances with my sister. So what happened then was my sister was getting expelled for doing stupid stuff and doing stuff like that. And then it became a point where this is where it gets deep, because I didn't know this until she was in like mental health institutes and in actual hospitals. Was she kept running away, and for the life of us, we couldn't understand where she was running to or why she was running away. Turned out she was running away to try and find me because she knew that I'd always protected. You know what I mean? So, but because she kept running away, for her safety, we didn't want anything bad happening to her. So she's the youngest person in Trafford, in Manchester. Probably it might even be in the UK, truth be told, to be sectioned like under the Mental Health Act, like that young. So she's then taken to like halfway homes. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, when she gets older, she ends up in like proper institutes. Like, and this is how much like my mum and dad are riders. Like, bear in mind, my mum's got back problems. She had a 70-hour surgery where she's got pins, rods, and frames in her back. Like, my dad was in and out of hospital as a kid like he spent 70% of his childhood in hospital because of his chest and his asthma. Like for example, my sister was put in Staffordshire, we're in Manchester. That's a 2-hour drive there and back. 2 hours there, 2 hours back. It's a 4-hour drive. They'd make that 4 times a week to go and see my sister. Glasgow, they'd make that trip 4 times a week to go and see my sister. Liverpool, cool, they'd make that trip. No matter where they put my sister, which was wild, by the way, they'd make the journey. And you don't understand mental health hospitals until you see it and you experience it firsthand.
True.
So she ends up moving to a place in Bury, which is sweet. 20 minutes down the road from us. We're thinking this is beautiful. It wasn't. And this is where things started to go downhill. So
okay,
they do things in mental health hospitals which I detest. So they're there for a reason, because they can't control their emotions.
Yep.
Can't control the thought processes. They'll come out and they'll say things they don't regret. They'll do things they don't regret. They'll act out. But the whole point of you being sectioned is to try and get you back into society at some point.
Yes.
My sister got lost into the system from a young age, and it just seemed like no matter what they did, like, for example, they knew we were coming. They would threaten my sister with taking the visit away. So then she acts up, and then you take the visit away. So it's like, obviously she's going to act up if you're doing stuff like that, because like the one person she wants to see, apart from mum and dad, is me. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, obviously she's going to act up if you think you're taking that away from her. Like, for example, you're promised something, you look forward to it, you're doing good, etc., and then you say something back that you don't agree with, which my dad always taught us, if something's not right, you stand up and you fight for it, which is why you see me advocating for racism constantly, because I just want everyone on a level playing field. Do you know what I mean? So I know my sister said something that she's seen that she didn't like, and then they then threatened with taking the visit away. And then what would happen is there would be certain incidents where we'd go and see her, we'd be in a room, and it was like an actual prison visit. Like, this is how mad it was. You had to go through security doors, like security checks, everything. So then obviously we sat in a room, and my sister's trying to explain like what happened in an incident. And then the members of staff would butt in. Well, that's not what happened, is it, Alicia? And it's like, well, hold up. I don't want to hear your side of the story. You sit the fuck down. You stay there for a minute. Like, I ain't here to talk to you. I don't want to hear what you think or what you say. I want to hear from my sister.
Yeah.
But then they kept doing stuff like that, and they just kept doing stupid shit. And it was just like, for example, like if you hugged her for too long, they'd get in the middle, like just weird stuff like that. And obviously, it's your little sister. Do you know what I mean? It's my mum's daughter. Do you know what I mean? Like, they want to hug their daughter. Like, let them live. So then, basically, coming up to obviously the death, mum ended up in hospital for about 3 months before Alicia passed. Now, this is talking from September, October, from August to November. So, and this is how mad this is, yeah. So my mum's birthday is November 12th. Alicia passed away on November 13th. So basically, my mum managed to get out of hospital just before her birthday.
So sorry, man.
Yeah, no, like, to be honest, this is something, like, for me, you don't understand, like, for those that deal with mental health, talking about stuff helps, believe me. So my mum managed to get herself out of hospital, didn't it? And I remember looking, and she had a catheter at the time because obviously she wasn't well and stuff like that. And I remember seeing blood in the catheter, and I was just like, why are you here? Because my mum's stubborn, like, she doesn't like hospitals. I'm like, you need to go back to hospital. And she was like, I promise I'll ring the hospital in the morning. Now, one thing we didn't know was my mum rang to speak to Alicia on her birthday, and it was Alicia's not well. And we were like, what? It's like, my mum's birthday, like, Alicia would not miss anything. Like, she'd be on death's door. She would answer that phone. Do you know what I mean? So obviously that's weird. And then obviously we didn't realise this at the time, but her favourite, like, care worker went to see her, and it was met with the same thing. Alicia's ill in bed, and we were like, that's not my sister. So then obviously mum's birthday, they leave a message, mum leaves a message, and it was basically, my mum got a message left to her basically saying that Alicia wishes her a happy birthday and she'll speak to her in the morning, because we were due to go that morning to see her, because obviously we couldn't see her on my mum's birthday, we could see her the next day. Now I'm laying in bed, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, I just hear doo, 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 doo. And you know, like one of them feelings where like you don't realise you're getting up, but you're just there. Like I was laying in bed, I'm like, I'm not getting out of bed. Like at this point, I was lying until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what? Like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I just find myself at the front window, and I opened it, and I was like, "Hello," and it's the hospital. So because of the incident I said with my mum, I thought, "Oh, she's actually running the hospital. You know what? Fair play. Like I kind of rate it. She's actually done what I asked for the first time." So I go get my mum from a room, walk her downstairs. Now this is the bit that pissed me off: is they knew what they were coming to say. They didn't say, "Can you get your husband, anyone that's in the house, in the room, so one, we can tie you together so you can deal with it as a family." They let me leave my mum downstairs into the front room. They then let me walk my ass back upstairs and go for a piss. Not asking if my dad's in the house, nothing. So obviously I'm finished on the toilet. I just hear this thud, which I'll never forget. Poof. My mum collapsing, slamming the door, and she's screaming, Alan, Ryan. And then she goes, "Your little girl's dead," talking about Alicia in it. And my dad's like, "What?" And then she's like, "Alicia's passed." And then obviously my dad's a big guy. He's collapsed in my arms. So obviously at this point, I've not got time to think about it. I've not got time, nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? So that happens. Now, this is where it sent me west, because at that point, I couldn't grieve because I've got to deal with them too. I've then got a sister who's not spoke to my mum and dad for God knows how many years, that I've got to ring personally and say, "Alicia's gone. Fuck all the stupid shit that went on with the arguments and stuff like that. Come be with your family because we need you." Had to go get my other sister who's got kids, nephews, nieces that we've had to explain that she's no longer here with us. So this is basically what happened. My sister, they were giving her medications to try and calm herself down, right? Problem was the medication was causing fatty liver, which basically caused one of the valves in her heart to enlarge and to stop. Now, my sister was, when we were trying to get hold of her, and when the co-worker went to see her, she was saying that the side of her stomach was hurting, which is the liver side. They should have instantly took her to the hospital then. You can save a life then. Right, that's one mistake. Right, you've not done that. Then, when we realised that something was wrong, was things just started to act weird. Afterwards, the funeral and how they were acting. Like, I wanted my sister's stuff. More importantly, I wanted my sister's diary, because there's a conversation which I had with one of the workers on the phone weeks before, where we couldn't go and see Alicia, and it was met with, there was an incident that happened with Alicia and a member of staff. We found some stuff in a diary, so I'm like, so they said that weeks before, do you know what I mean? So at this point I'm thinking, so when I ring up and I'm like, I want to get Alicia's stuff, they delayed it for 4 days. We were going every day. "Oh, we can't have it, the manager's got to be here." I was like, "What the fuck do you mean the manager's got to be here? Like, it's my sister's stuff." Like, it got to the point where I was genuinely close to ringing man and just being like, "We're running through and we're getting everything." Like, that's how close it became, do you know what I mean? So then, boom, finally, 4th day, ring. Like, "Yeah, we found the diary, we found everything." "Oh, no, this was it." So, yeah, so they said they found the diary. There's some stuff in there about staff members, but you know what Alicia's like. What the fuck's that supposed to mean? So there's stuff in there about, staff members, but you know what your sister's like. Like, give me this diary.
What are you trying?
What I mean. So at this point, my head's like alarm bells are ringing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a good judge of character. I'm a good judge of situations and social moments and stuff like that. So when I heard that, something's not sitting right. So me and my brother-in-law and my oldest sister went to go collect it. Got the stuff, left the car park. I told him to pull over. Going through everything, diary's not there. Why is the diary not there? Turn around. As soon as we pull back up, woman's come out and she's white, like she's seen a ghost. She's like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Where's the diary? Give me the diary." So half an hour, I'm stood in this waiting room. Nothing. And the woman gives me the diary, finally walks in. "Oh, sorry, we just found it. We misplaced it." I'm in the car. Open the diary, pages are ripped, and you can see where it's been ripped on the side. And I'm just like, something don't sit right. So then, obviously, we then go to solicitors and stuff like that, because we basically wanted to know the truth. My point of this, and obviously you've got certain people in your ear like, "Oh, you can sue and you can earn millions and millions of pounds." Like, there's no amount of pain that I felt in my stomach that could that money could replace. Do you know what I mean? Like, so for me, it wasn't about that. For me, it was a case of I don't want any of the family to have to go through what we're currently going through. So this is 2 years into the death, coroner's court, and then you've got basically a pathologist who's basically saying, look, the reason why she died was because of the fatty liver, which was caused by the medication that she's on, but it could have been prevented. Then we come across police went in and raided the actual hospital to get all evidence and stuff like that.
Wow.
Boom. CCTV footage of the night that my sister passed away. Now, at 10 o'clock, they do the normal check. Now, my sister was found dead at 5 o'clock in the morning, yeah? At this point, rigor mortis had set in, so she'd been there for a while, yeah? On the CCTV footage, you basically see at 1 o'clock in the morning, one of the workers opened my sister's door, looking. He looks like something's not right. You see him instantly calling for someone. Not one of them walk into the room. So if you've seen something and you're tragic and you're doing that, you know something's wrong. Lo and behold, that is the one moment that could have saved my sister. And here we are, nowhere to be seen because man can't do their job properly. So the issue is it got to a point where, and it sounds horrible, but you don't realise the toll that it takes on a family trying to go through court cases. And like, I don't drive now. I still can't drive because it was met with, do you want to fund a case? Do you want to learn to drive and buy a nice car? I'm funding that case. Like, I don't care what happens.
100%. You know, so, you need closure, man.
So then, yeah, and then this is obviously one of the funny things, which was whenever I used to go see my sister, obviously I was growing older. She was growing older. I started to get tattoos and stuff like that. Now I've got a cross tattoo on my right arm. And my sister was always like, you should get a tattoo with me. I'm like, I ain't never getting a tattoo with you on me. Like, what do you think this is? And then obviously, lo and behold, when she passed, it sounds weird. The first thing that popped into my head was, I'm getting a tattoo. So I've got a full sleeve dedicated to her, which I know that she'd have loved.
God bless you, man.
And then the thing was, it was like, because we couldn't take it as far as we wanted to with regards to, because every solicitor was just like, look, although there is good evidence, like we can't guarantee this, and this. Do you really want to put your family through it? Do you want to go through that stress?
Yeah.
And I could see like my dad doesn't really talk about it to this day. Like, because it's his little girl. Do you know what I mean? So it's
100%.
So I thought, I can't let this go to waste. I can't. Like, Alicia needs to have a voice. Alicia needs to have an impact on this world somehow. And then the Alicia Wayman Foundation came about, and I'm proud of that. Like, I ended up in newspapers in Manchester, basically talking about the foundation and what I was doing and why I was doing the foundation. You've got charity football games where I had Palmers, who were the biggest YouTube team at that point from Essex. They travelled down to come and basically play a charity football game against a team that I manage. Raised over £1,000 for mental health. Obviously raising awareness constantly, and then obviously, as you know, when we kind of get fans back in, we're doing charity football part 2, but it's going to be bigger this time because we've got big YouTubers, you, Terry, do you know what I mean? Like, people that I've built relationships with, they're going to be involved in. Yeah, man, it's going to be special. So, like I said, I just couldn't let the Alicia Wayman name not make an impact, because she would have made an impact, believe me. And yeah, so the Alicia Wayman Foundation's going strong, and trust me, man, I'm going to make sure that everyone remembers it.
Stro, man, I'm so sorry, bro. Like, wow. I'm seriously so taken back. Like, you still have to wake up every day, bro. You still have to wake up every day and go about your life. And do you know what you've just told me? You've not even mentioned yourself. You've not even talked about how you even cope, just about like your sister, man. Like,
because
man, I don't even know what to say, bro. I'm literally like,
because truth be told, I'm still learning to cope. Like, you hear the phrase of time's a healer. It gets better with time. It doesn't. You just learn to deal with it more. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's still nights where and obviously, like, I can be honest with you, I'm sat up I can't sleep because there's something that'll trigger a memory of me and my little sister, and then boom, memory lane goes in. That's a dark path to go down if you're not prepared for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there was times where, because my sister was a joker, like a proper joker. Do you know what I mean? And my mum believes in like spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. So my mum used to do a lot of spiritual readings and go to see like mediums and stuff like that. But for months after my sister passed, I couldn't sleep with the light off because I was terrified that if I turned the light off, my sister, being a joker that she was, even though she was there, wasn't there, she was going to jump out and scare me at some point. Like, that's how mentally it fucked with me. But then I was looking at it, and it's like, I've got nephews who remember my sister, who need to remember, and I've got nieces and younger nephews, so there's 5. Obviously, I've got my daughter now, but I had 4. So there's 5 of them, so there's 2 girls and 3 boys. Now, 2 of them, Caden being the oldest, does remember Alicia a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he remembers everything about Alicia. The younger ones don't really, so then I took it on me, like, one, it was my job that they need to remember her, what she stood for, what she was about, how amazing she was. Because, like, this is how mad my little sister was, yeah? My little sister would get money in hospital, but she couldn't do anything with it, do you know what I mean? Like, she was just stacking up, and she was wadded in there, like, don't get it, like, she had grands in the bank, do you know what I'm saying? So, like, something would happen outside. Like, for example, one of my boys, like, crashed his car. She was like, I'll buy him a new car. And she was legit serious, and I'm like, she would give you the clothes off her back, like, that's how loving she was, you know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I need to make sure that they remember what she stood for and who she was. And then obviously it was the horrible thing of having, and it was me that had to tell my nephew that Alicia wasn't here, that she went to heaven. Then it was me that basically had to, because obviously my dad's head wasn't mentally there, and neither was my mum. So obviously the funeral and stuff like that, like, I had to take proper charge. Like, and do you know what? They say that, like, God gives you tests, you know what I mean? Like, this was a test for me because not only did I hit rock bottom, I couldn't sit there and do nothing. Like, I had stuff I needed to sort. I needed to bring my family together. I needed to support them up. I needed to make sure my mum and dad were good. I needed to make sure my nephews and nieces were good. My sisters were good. My gran, who was, like, they idolised my sister. My cousins, you know what I mean? Like, and this is how funny it was. So my sister was outlandish and she was just out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, my sister was the biggest Nicki Minaj fan. It didn't give a fuck what kind of lyrics she was saying. She was spitting them loud as anything. Didn't matter who you were, if it embarrassed you. Like, she was just them. She liked putting you on your toes. So obviously we planned the funeral and we get this American wicker casket, which is yo, that shit's heavy. And obviously with the medication, my sister put quite a bit of weight on. So we had her favourite doctor, the 2 favourite doctors who loved her at the hospital before she went to the other one, which I wish she'd have stayed there because it was a great hospital. They carried the casket. My uncles, my cousins, and then there was a guy who I grew up with who my sister loved. He carried it, and then obviously my boys carried it. Now, it was initially only going to be 6. Bro, when we picked that casket up, and it's American whisker, it's custom, it's pink, it's got Alicia on the side, it's got butterflies all over it. That's why you'll notice in the Alicia Wayman Foundation, if you look at the back of the logo, you'll see like a butterfly in it. There's a reason that's in there. That shit was heavy, so I was like quickly trying to call for one. So, like, yeah, the reason I don't talk about myself is I'm still learning to go through it myself, and it's a learning process, and it always will be. That's why, you know what I'm like. If I see something in the group chat, for example, and someone doesn't look right, I'm the first to go and message them to make sure that the cool has been there. So it's taught me a lesson, man, and it made me grow up quick.
It's true. Stro, man, like, bro, like, I don't even. There's nothing I can say to you right now that you've probably never heard before. You are incredible, man. Seriously, like, some people, you know, struggle to put clothes on. Some people struggle to motivate themselves to get on with their day, to, you know, to put on their laptop. And it just puts everything to perspective that, you know, like, don't take nothing for granted. Don't, the world doesn't stop for anyone. So the important people, the loved ones, make sure you hug them. Make sure you tell them you love them, because a sibling, family member, relative, or anything, or anyone that's close to you, there's no money in this world that can be replaced for a life. And I've never been one not to say anything. And wow, literally, man, I salute you, my brother. I do, I really do, because, you know, I've got a wife, I've got a son, and I said on the day I got married that I'm nothing without my wife. And oh man, bro, I'm so sorry.
No, but like, so chat, and this is, so for example, those that don't know when it was,
sorry, bro.
And initially, this was going to be a documentary which we started filming years ago, when it was going to be Alicia's story, and that's what it was called, Alicia's story. No, it was called Alicia's voice. So the whole reason I started the foundation, because I wanted to give Alicia a voice that she's not going to have now. So this is a story I've sat on for years, which needed to be told, because this isn't just me. There's families out there that are going through experiences in mental health hospitals. There's mental health hospitals which I know for a fact are understaffed. The main reason Alicia never got cared to at that time when she needed it, because of how understaffed they were. And then lo and behold, 2 weeks after Alicia passes away, the Quality Care Commission releases findings on the hospital in question, and the first thing they say is it's dangerously understaffed. I know that. We learned that in the most horrible way. So this isn't about me. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my little sister. There's families that are going through this where you can't go and speak to a loved one who's in a mental health hospital without someone chiming in who works there, trying to give their opinion. Like, do you understand how frustrating that is? So as much as it would be easy for me to sit here for over the past 6, 7 years, 8 years in self-pity, one, she'd have killed me for it. Secondly, like, my sister's memory deserves way better than that. And thirdly, there's families that I don't want to go through what we've had to go through. So that's why I will fight tooth and nail until I stop breathing, to make sure that mental health gets the coverage that it needs.
Bro, and I'm stopping, bro. I'm cutting this off, bro. I can't. Like, this is insane. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry that you've had to do that. And yeah, man, look, everyone, thanks for watching. Seriously, thanks for watching, man. Yeah,